Do you want to play around with it right now? I'll show you some cool stuff. Let's just use Mobx without Mobx state tree. So let's see. All right, we're gonna do a little Mobx fun. All right, I'm gonna get rid of this, and actually, I'm gonna leave that for now, and I'm gonna change this to, let's say, we want, let's see here. We're not doing Mobx, but we are using observer. And I want. Yeah, let's do this with the rest of our thing here. So, let's say we have like a little, let's see here. So const, what would be a good example of this? Let's go, price, okay, equals function or observer function price. The reason I put price twice is because basically it allows you to, you get better backtraces when you do this. Okay, so return, and here we're gonna do a thing with like store dot price. Okay, so we need a store. So let's create a store. Const store equals make a auto observable, which you can see that comes in from Mobx now, right? Move this over just a tad here. So make auto observable, and then we just go, right now we have like a price, 50, and then we're gonna have like a, let's do like items, and then in here we're gonna have an item that has a name, and this is gonna be like, I don't know, LG 5K display, all right, and price is gonna be 3,500. Okay, so this is gonna be, I'm actually gonna pass in the props dot item. So there's gonna be an item that comes in from there. And this is gonna be not a price, this is gonna be an item. So item props, item is going to be, you know, screw it, whatever, any. All right. So we've got this items there, and I'm gonna actually put 2 of them. So we're gonna go, there's gonna be also, what did I just get? A Dell 1080p. This is actually not, is better than 1080p, but whatever. Price is gonna be 500. And then I'm going to say displays, and then I'm gonna go LG, right? Store dot items dot map item, and then here we're gonna pass in item. It's weird that makes sense, but it does. And then I'm actually going to add a little, let's go div. All right, div. Let's go. All right. So, randomize. Okay. So right now you can see that it's working. We have 3,500 with 500. I need to actually add a h4 props.item.name h4. All right. So we've got our LG, we've got our 1080p Dell in there, and they're showing up, but there's nothing kind of like all that big here. But when I click randomize, I want to be able to do something here. Props.item for, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Let's make a little action here. And it can be anywhere, really. Function randomize item price, right? And then we'll get an item. And then what I'll do is I'll say, maybe I could just do type of stored items. Sure. Okay, so can I say number right there? I think I can. Okay, so we've got the item. So we're just gonna say like, now what you have to do is say run in action. If you don't do run in action, it won't work. It won't do what you want it to, or it will. Basically, everything has to be run in an action in Mobx Mobx 8.3 if you want to make any mutations. So item.price equals math.random times 500, and actually we want to do like math.floor, so it's just a, yeah, so we're just going to randomize the item price. So let's do that. Randomize item price. Okay. So now it's changing to random prices, and you can see that it's updating, and it's doing so without having to do like a set state or anything like that, right? Now, one thing I want to do here is I'm gonna, in the item, I'm gonna do this for the app as well. I'm gonna have a const render. If you update an item or the other items referentially equal still. Meaning mutations, like they're mutated. I think they are. Yeah. Rendered equals use ref. And I'm gonna have rendered.current equal, actually I'm gonna go true equals not rendered dot current. So anytime that this is rendered at all, ever, it will update this to switch. And then what we can do here is we can do a style, border color is rendered dot current. It's either red or it's blue. And then we should already have the border width is 1. All right. That work? Hello? Why is this not working? Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing down here. And I'm gonna do the same thing there. It's not working. Why is this not working? The style not working? Do I have to do like border style? Like, I don't need to do that, right? Like, how do I get a border to show up? Could I do outline maybe? Border style solid. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, so I'm gonna do outlines. Actually, I'll do a border up there. Style solid. All right, there we go. 1 pixel. Yeah. So let's go 3 pixels for the outside one. And the inner one is like that. And why is this not working? Current. Use ref. Rendered current. I'm going to change this to border, actually. It's not changing. Why doesn't it change? Correct, but I want to know when it re-renders. I'm using React Native styles, I know. I want to know when it re-renders. Is it transition? Is it transition? How do you like make it duration? Yeah, just do that. Yeah, it's not changing at all. Why wouldn't this work? You would think this would work, right? You're setting rendered. When it re-renders, which it is re-rendering, we know it's re-rendering. Why wouldn't it change the style? I feel like it should. Somebody help me. Blue, red. So those are red now. Yeah, see? That's not changing the render count. Oh, that would work. Yeah. Let's just do that. So we could just yeah, it's updating. Oh, it's doing 2 at a time. Why would it do 2 at a time? Why does it go 2 at a time? That's weird. Now I could do. Oh, that's because this is. Okay, I know why. This is React 18. Yeah, that's what it is. This is React 18, strict mode, renders twice. I don't want, let's see, I don't know if this works. What? Why are you complaining? Oh, this needs to be 0. Yeah, see, now it works. So I basically want to do the same thing up here, so I'll just go ahead and do that. Up here. And then... Okay. Okay. So, I think it's working. So, you can see that it only updates... It only re-renders the child, right? It doesn't update... It doesn't re-render the whole thing, which is great. Now, if I were to go back to the app itself and I wanted to always show the first, so, or let's say, yeah, the first, or let's say total, all right? So let's go store.items dot reduce, oh boy, okay, so previous, current, and let's go cur dot price plus prev, and then the 0. think is what we would do here. P. Yeah, so it totals it up, right? Now look what happens. It re-rendered the outer one as well. You notice that all I had to do right there was access stuff that changed, like price. And now the outside is also re-rendering. You can see it changing from red to blue. You see that? It's pretty cool. So it only re-renders where it needs to. Now, let's say that I don't want this to re-render the whole thing. I don't want to re-render like everything else, you know, all of the children as well when I'm doing this. So no problem. You just extract this to a total items store.items, right? So I'm going to make a new total here. So const total equals observer function total props. That's going to be any, because that's how we roll here. And then return, and then I can just drop all of that in there. And then instead of store.items, I just say props.items. Whoops. Props.items. Okay. So, and I'm going to drop this same thing in here. And I'm going to drop this same thing in here. So we've got that, right? So we're going to refresh the whole thing. Notice the outside is not changing. In fact, I'm going to go to displays here. Where it says displays, I'm actually going to put a little renders. And it's going to say rendered current. So let's take it. So there's, okay, so refresh, and we've got 2 renders, okay? Now if I click this, that is not going up. The outer one is not going up. This one is changing, and it's re-rendering. And these, of course, are re-rendering, like as I click this, as they should. But this total is the only thing changing. Yeah, so Chanman, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. I should do a talk about this. So what happens is when you wrap your component, any component, in observer, this function right here, it's a higher order function that allows you to basically watch anything that happens within this, right? So anything that changes inside of here. There's a couple other things you can also do, like an observe. You can do observe like that and observe just what happens in here. But then you can't like look at stuff up here, and so that's not as, I don't like that as much, because this watches the whole function, not just the render part. So when you have an observer, it then pays attention. It's like, yo, we need to watch right now. And so it's come down here, it sees this, whatever, it doesn't matter. Boom, it gets to this. Item is an observable. Everything in here is an observable. This array is observable. Like if I were to do something that adds something to this array right here, it would add another thing here. Okay. So even the array is observable, and knowing that it's looping through right here with this dot map items, anytime you have this like dot notation, dot items, hey, if items changes, dot map, hey, if the number of items changes, or anything's replaced in the thing, item itself is passed through, that's also observed. So this observer is just tracking, like what, it's like taking a mental note. What am I accessing within this? And only what am I accessing? So if you look at the app itself, what am I accessing? I'm accessing items, but it doesn't re-render the whole thing, because this is a stable reference to that array, to the observable array. But total then can, re-render when it needs to, because it is checking every item itself, and if any of those change, it knows to re-render itself. So turns on observer mode. Hey, watch everything in here. And then when you run in action, it now says, hey, remember when we were watching any of these properties or any of these other things? Anything that I'm changing within this action needs to go out there and update, tell everybody to update out there in the wild. And so item.price gets changed, right? So anything that's observing item will now update. And that, of course, would be each individual item, like these guys, and dot price right there is used, so it pulls that in. Yes, it's using a proxy. There's also a version without proxy. You can do it without proxy with Mobx 4, but Mobx 5 and Mobx 6 both use proxies, and Mobx 6 will actually smartly switch between proxy and non-proxy, just getters and setters. If you use it without a proxy, there are some gotchas. So I recommend using the proxy wherever possible, but those gotchas are pretty minor generally. Proxies are cool. Proxied object basically allows you to like observe things and watch what's going on. So, but yeah, this is what happens with this. And by the way, as you saw, I can pass an observed item to another component, and it still observes it. Now, if let me show you. Yeah, no problem, Chanman. Let me show you what happens if I take the observer off of this. Okay. So let's just try this again. Notice that these aren't changing, but this one is. You see that? These are no longer observed. So let me put that back as an observer and take the total off. What do you think is going to happen? These change, total doesn't change. And if I don't observe the main app, which is actually fairly normal, it won't have an effect because it wasn't observing anything anyway. But observers are fairly lightweight, so I wouldn't worry about it. Like, you can observe everything pretty much, unless you're doing something really strange. And what's cool about this is it encourages architecture to pass stuff down, like, for example, this total thing, into sub-components so that only they update. You also don't have to do prop drilling. So if I were to just say total, and instead of props, I say store, I don't have to do prop drill in here because I have access to store. It's right there, right? So it works how it's supposed to. That's actually the cool thing right there. You can have this store that you just pass around. In fact, I like to do this thing where I go like underscore store, right? And then I go function use store, and I just return store. And then, so you have this store right here. So I just say const store equals use store. And then we've got it. And then right here, we've got another store right there. So const store equals use store. And we're not doing that here, so we don't need to. But it should still work. Yeah, it still works. This is Mobx and Mobx React Lite. This is not using Mobx State Tree. Mobx State Tree does the exact same stuff, but it adds other stuff to this right here. So instead of just make auto observable and dropping a bunch of stuff in and then having like custom actions like this, you have it all built into it's like an object. It makes it more Redux-like, basically. You get the Mobx appeal now, Danny? See, I should do more of this sort of thing. I should do more of this sort of thing. Kind of explain why we like Mobx. Oh, have to do an underscore right here. But yeah, you can see the re-renders really easily here. When do you use Mobx? Whenever I need to share state between more than one component. Because it just makes it so easy. So instead of trying to prop drill down, I just whip out Mobx and I'm good to go. Or Mobx state tree. But always Mobx React Lite. And you might ask why Mobx React Lite instead of Mobx React. Mobx React supports class syntax, like class components. Mobx React Lite does not. It only supports function components, so it's lighter. It doesn't have all the rest of it in there. So I usually use Mobx React Lite unless there's some very specific reason I need to use Mobx React.